Alright, gotta play this entrance song because my special guest is a recurring one. He is my partner in crime, that's right, Appleman MMA, aka Jonathan Renteria. So, if anyone does not know why I'm doing this stream, basically, it's because news broke out about UFC 251. The main event has changed, an opponent is gone, and another one is just came back in and saved the day, and I'm going to be talking about that just a little bit because I do have a surprise on the Saturday, July 11th. By the way, if anyone wants to know why we're talking about it, UFC 251, please check out the fight card. It is freaking insane. Just the main card alone, just the last 3 fights, so. Alright, so we're just gonna wait for my partner to join me. Hey. I started the song early, so I apologize because I know you like making some type of entrance, so. But this song's actually pretty long, so. Hey.
Hi.
Alright,
Hello.
sorry. I don't know if you heard the song, but I started it really
Yeah,
late, so
I
I
heard
apologize.
it.
Okay, so Alex Valadas, what's going on? We're gonna do that special, surprise going on Saturday. Hola to you too. And hey, so basically, I have my special guest. Like you've seen him a couple of times. Okay, his name is Jonathan, or you can know him on Instagram as Appleman. Is it MMA? I believe your handle is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you keep changing it. Anyways, and we're just gonna talk about UFC 251, but we're not gonna go into depth. We're just pretty much gonna talk about some new changes, some major changes that happened, especially for the main card. So, did you want to go first? Should I introduce what happened? Like, it's pretty simple. People don't really know why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, so Gilbert Burns tested positive for coronavirus, so therefore he is not able to beat Kamaru Usman like he would have. So now Jorge
Yeah.
Masvidal
Okay.
is going to step in.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So if anyone doesn't know, is Jonathan when he trains, he also trains at Fight Science MMA in Cali, and he's a huge jiu-jitsu fan. That's his favorite martial art. So that's why we're always gonna root for the BJJ guys, right? So it sucks that Burns is not there. I think that got me caught off guard because I guess my mind's like all about the new opponent that came in 6 days notice to save the day. That's right, game bred, Mr. Jorge Masvidal himself, Mr. BMF champion, and it kind of took me by surprise. But at the same time, like I kind of knew he was quite the opportunist, so I'm not surprised that he went ahead and decided to volunteer to fight Kamaru Usman, who's the welterweight champion of the world, UFC, and basically not only him, but Kobe Covington as well, a former opponent and former contender. He also volunteered. But here's the thing, he hasn't. Well, Usman has not fought Masvidal. They had like tension for quite a while now, so I guess this was kind of coming, and things happen for a reason. Even though I don't strongly encourage anybody to like get COVID and to miss a fight, right? So, all right. So this whole stream is talking about just our reaction to when we got the news. I was actually talking to you when I pretty much told you the news about Gilbert Burns unfortunately bowing out just because he had to, because he got tested positive for COVID-19. So why don't you tell me like how you felt when when I pretty much told you mid conversation like about this whole ordeal that happened.
Felt like the world just ended because I was so excited for that fight. But the interesting thing is that this fight between Jorge and Usman, like this was the original fight that was actually scheduled like months ago for July, and then it ended up switching to Gilbert. So it's kind of funny how it's back to what it originally was.
Right. So, yeah, if anyone does not know what we're talking about, please look up like Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman. You'll see a lot of either videos of them and like their encounter. A lot of smack talking from both of them, pretty much for a couple of months now. And like Jonathan said, yeah, that fight was supposed to happen. It was just the perfect fight to make with two guys that don't like each other, and also the perfect contender in the top 5, which is Jorge Masvidal, who just became the BMF champion against Nate Diaz it's really not that long ago, and so it's funny how things work out. But at the end of the day, I'm just kind of glad as a fan that we do have a main event to look forward to, because I remember when I like figured that out with Burns, not being able to fight, I was devastated because I'm like, well, that was literally the like the icing on the cake. I was like, I was so
Mm.
looking forward to that fight specifically, and I'll pretty much we'll go into like how we rank the last three fights in terms of like which are the most exciting, which are the ones that we're looking forward to later on. But pretty much, yeah. So I'm pretty glad that Masvidal did come and save the day. But he has a lot of different challenges ahead of him, and he already has been. I believe their plane is arriving soon in Abu Dhabi, if not right now. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and just talk about, you know, 6 days notice. Like, this man is crazy. But, it's Masvidal at the end of the day.
Mm.
And so, like, what did you think? Did I tell you? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I confirmed that Masvidal was the one that the UFC, like, they had negotiations on the phone, just literally, like, selfies and like screenshots of Masvidal on the phone when he
Mm.
was shooting like some type of YouTube video thing, and he was on the phone with the UFC. Now, when I heard about it, when I saw that, I was like, I was a bit annoyed just because I know that Masvidal has been wanting like more money, like because
Yeah.
all of the he is quite famous. He's quite known in the industry with a lot of fans, and he's quite entertaining.
Mm.
But at the same time, I was like, oh, we just need someone to replace him that's going to be healthy, and so we can salvage this like main event and pretty much this main card, in my opinion. So, like, what did you
Mm.
think when? I guess the UFC confirmed, like, yeah, no, Masvidal is going to pending the pre-fight, testing, which
Mm.
apparently might be still going on, according to reports.
Well, to going before that, like when I first heard about it, like I didn't think it was gonna happen because like as much as like of a Masvidal fan I am, I've been like really pretty frustrated with him, and like a lot of people have because like he's had a lot of empty call outs recently. So like I really didn't think it was gonna happen, and then so when I actually found out that he actually was gonna step in, I mean that's worthy of the BMF of the
Yeah.
BMF title. And so I heard that he was still like kind of in shape because he was helping Poirier prepare for Hooker, and he's also been training with Bo Nickel, which is like a really good wrestler, and he actually competed against Gordon Ryan. So
Yeah.
he's also been like preparing for Usman because like he was scheduled to fight him before, so like it's not like he's also going into this fight, like he's taking on a blind opponent.
Right. And so there's a lot of factors there. I will get
Yeah.
into the weight cutting part of it a little later, which Masvidal does have to do in the next 6 days. When
Mm.
it comes to like, yeah, you're right. I feel like Masvidal was training for Usman. Obviously, they don't like each other, so that gives him more motivation. Besides the fact that he wants to fight for the belts and get all these opportunities and more money, he was already like already planning to what did he say? Something his quote was like he was going to like explicit knock his head out something like that because I can't really say it on camera, but I think that for me the biggest issue because I know we talked about this. Like I didn't want to get excited for it. Like, you know how I am. Like I don't want to get excited until pretty much either weigh-in, ceremonial stuff. Like then
Mm.
I was like, okay, maybe the day up, maybe I'll get even more excited because things happen, unfortunately, especially with COVID-19. So basically, what happened, if anyone does not know, so Game Bread Jorge Masvidal, he lives in Miami, Florida, and so pretty much once he got the negotiations done with the UFC, they shipped him to Las Vegas pretty much that day. And then at the same time, Usman, who is actually supposed to go somewhere to pick up his daughter, he got the call saying that the fight was back on. And then he also was gonna get shipped to Las Vegas, but both of them arrived at different times. Masvidal arrived in the morning, I believe. Was it a few days ago? Sunday? I think it was like Sunday, probably yesterday. It's just everything happened like so quickly. I don't even remember the time of everything. So then he arrived, and then he had to do like this COVID test that they made for the fighters, and then quarantined for 24 hours while he was waiting for the results. Usman, I believe he already had that done because of the original fight with Gilbert Burns, and so all he had to do was go to Las Vegas, stay there for 24 hours. When you get the news that Masvidal was tested negative, then they're gonna board that plane, which they did today. So
Mm.
that was the most worrisome for me was the pre fight testing. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine." Like, well, look at this. Gilbert Burns got tested positive. Let's go. Pedro Munoz got tested positive not too long ago. Literally hours ago, we got that news, and now that fight is still in the works. Like they're trying to get like an opponent for them, right? So, all right. Anyways, so that's an interesting comment. But so, what did you think about like when Masvidal had to do all that testing? Were you worried? I know like you were kind of hesitant too because you're like I don't want to get excited till that time. So what did you
Mm.
think about it?
Who is that?
I have no idea.
Mayor Bryant.
No, I actually have no idea, but that's okay.
Well,
Um,
sir, you're a fucking loser for commenting
yeah,
that,
sorry.
idiot.
Like, sorry. Welcome to the stream, but I don't know. We don't know both of us. But anyways, we'll continue on with this right now. So, like I said, were you? I know you were kind of worried in the beginning when the whole news was there, and like you couldn't get excited about anything,
Hmm.
right? So, what did you think about when like everyone was saying it was confirmed, but it wasn't at all
Hmm.
confirmed. It was just pending like the test results, right? So, were you ever like worried that this fight wasn't going to happen at all, kind of thing, or did you kind of just realize like, oh, you know what? I think Masvidal is probably going to be fine. I don't know if he got tested before, but I'm sure that protocol means that they have to get tested again,
Mm.
right? So,
Well, I tried to stay optimistic about it because, Gilbert Burns, who I really wanted to see fight, like I was pretty sad when he pulled out, and so this kind of like raised my spirits a bit. So I really tried to stay optimistic for it, and yeah, like I
okay.
said, like beforehand, I didn't want to get excited either until he actually accepted it, and then he did. So yeah.
I mean, I wasn't surprised he accepted. I mean, Masvidal accepted this fight just because I know now he's been asking for a lot. Like I said, me, you, a lot of fans were kind of annoyed about the fact that, like, well, if you want this, you got to earn it. If you got this opportunity, you take it, kind of thing, and he did. So, and it's crazy. Like, not many people, not many fighters would do that because, number one, like, Masvidal does have children. If anyone does not know some of the context behind that, like, he has a family to think about as well. But at the end of the day, he saw an opportunity and he took it. And so
Mm.
me, I was just more worried about that more than anything else. I was not surprised that like the results ended up negative, and then today they got to board the charter plane. If anyone hasn't watched it yet, UFC Embedded just released its first episode, so you see a little bit of the whole like them waiting in Las Vegas and getting the testing done. Funny enough, you have to watch the scene where Masvidal was literally heading into one elevator and there's two, and then Usman and their team literally came out of it when Masvidal went into the elevator and the doors closed. So I think
Yeah,
things happen.
that was interesting.
Yeah, that was too much. So all right. So we talked about like in terms of before everything and the waiting. Like I wasn't like I mean I was probably less optimistic than you for sure about it.
Mm.
And so I was just excited when they actually confirmed that he got negative results. I was like, okay, fine. Now we can get a little bit more excited. Plane ride. Apparently, more testing has to be done, according to Ariel Hawani. The reports were there a couple hours ago. So at the end of the day, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get more excited, like closer to the day of, because it's still 6 days away. Anything can happen. Like that's how I see it personally.
Hmm.
And then some people are like, "Why are you so negative?" I'm like, but it's true. Like anything can happen. If you see the past and you see a
Yeah.
lot of the championship fights, fighters have pulled out on the day of, or even the day before. You know, so I try not to get too optimistic, just because pretty much that's the fight that I'm looking most forward to when it comes to that entire card. No offense, there's a lot of great fights out there, but I don't know, man. There's like something about those two with their beef, and also that they're both great athletes themselves, and they're both kind of in their prime in a sense. Masvidal a little bit different,
Hmm.
35 years old. 32. Hey, April, what's going on? I know we're all probably so excited. She's probably really excited about this fight as well, and the changes that happened to this main event. But I just got really, really excited when they announced it, but not too excited where I'm not like,
Yeah.
over the moon and like posting everything about it. If anyone has ever seen my page on Twitter, there's like pretty much nothing about that. So I think that it's going to be a tough matchup. I don't think that it's just going to be one-sided. But I
Hmm.
do have a winner in this. However, I'm not going to reveal that until Saturday because there is a special episode that my crew, Unwrap Sports, is doing. It's called Unwrap This. We're doing a Fight Island edition. That's right, hosted by yours truly. And that's going to be on Unwrap Sports on the Twitter account as well, and also from different platforms, including my Twitter account. But we'll get into that a little later. I will talk about, in terms of just a brief summary, in terms of what I think could happen between two fighters and how they probably could win without going into too much detail until
Hmm.
Saturday happens. Because, like I said, I don't know if those two fighters are still going to be there, Saturday, and like something else is going to happen. So I'll let you go
Hmm.
first in terms of, I know that we talked a little bit like before the
Hmm.
stream, right? Talking more so that like, talking about how Masvidal could win this fight. Obviously the favorite has to be that champion right there. He's on that streak. He's faced people like Woodley, dominated Kobe Covington. It was quite, like, amazing when it comes to Kamaru Usman. So I'll start with the underdog. How do you think that Masvidal could win against Kamaru Usman?
Well, something interesting that you said the other day was that you thought that Colby's striking was better than Masvidal's, which I highly disagree. I think that if Masvidal is going to win, it's going to be by knockout, and I think he's going to try to get him out early, especially because he's coming into this a little bit late notice. And for my prediction, I mean, you're going to have to like lean towards the champ because just because he had a full training camp and Masvidal didn't, and even if Masvidal did have a full training camp, I'd still lean towards Usman just because of his style. I think he's like a really dominant wrestler, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also you got to factor in that Masvidal's going to try to make championship weight and cut 20 pounds so he can have a chance at winning the title. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see how that affects him.
Right. So you not only talk about trying to lose 20 pounds in 6 days, try losing
Mm-hmm.
20 pounds in a different culture and climate. Abu Dhabi is like a freaking sauna. Like when you get off the
Yeah.
plane, you can pretty much work out outside. Like that's how it is, which kind of will help Masvidal a little bit. We got to talk about the science of how to cut weight and like
Mm-hmm.
sweating out everything. However, I think that alone is already the biggest, like, not red flag, but in terms of like biggest obstacle for a lot of fans to just not see like Masvidal winning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did say that I think that Kobe Covington's striking is better than Masvidal's. However, Kobe Covington does not have that knockout power that Masvidal has. Like I said in a bunch of streams, I was fortunate enough to see him face against Darren Till and offer his Darren Till's first knockout in that second round. So like that is no joke. However, I
Mm-hmm.
personally think that Usman is the better fighter. Especially he's faced people like Kobe. He's faced people like Woodley,
Mm-hmm.
so like those two are no joke. Woodley, obviously was a dominant champion of his own,
Yeah.
and people were saying like that ended, Tyron Woodley's career. A lot of people are saying that just because of this is not the same Woodley that we both probably watched for the last couple of years, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think if Masvidal is going to win, I agree it's going to be by knockout. However, I do see the fight going to decision somehow. Like my gut's
Me too.
telling me, right, because like I've seen both fighters fight for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
Masvidal, I like he's fought for like what 16 years until he got to this point. However, I did see him maybe fight the last 4 years and like emerge the last 2 years. But a lot of Masvidal's past fights ended in decision as well. And I know that it feels like a rejuvenation or resurrection, they may call it, for the Cuban Jesus himself, Masvidal, and he's gonna baptize, or he's gonna guarantee he's gonna baptize Kamaru Usman. If anyone does not understand like what I'm talking about, it's just basically he is going to either knock him out somehow, flying knee to Ben Askren, dominant striking against Nate Diaz as well. So I think that it's going to go to decision, even though there's a chance that it's going to go to knockout. I don't think it's going to be in the early rounds. If Masvidal does win, I don't think it's going to be in the early rounds. Maybe like round three. Usman has really good cardio as well, so that's one of the reasons why he's probably the favorite. Besides the fact that obviously he's on a streak where he's beaten the top contenders and former champions. Masvidal, I'm sorry, but there's not many people you've beaten that were like up there, elite fighters. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Not saying that you're not a good fighter, you totally are. But now you have like the biggest competition, which is Kamaru Usman, right?
Mm.
So I think he's well rounded, personally,
How do, how do you think
right?
Gilbert Burns would do against both these fighters?
Gilbert Burns, okay. I think that he has never looked better. If anyone has not, like, if anyone doesn't even know Gilbert Burns, please watch his last fight. It was against Tyron Woodley, the former welterweight champion, and he freaking dominated him, strikes alone, you know. And then Woodley couldn't even like breathe. It felt like he couldn't even like lay a finger on him, which was really exciting for both of us to watch. Who do I don't know. That's tough for me because I think that Gilbert Burns. Who do I think he has a better chance of winning against? It's probably Masvidal. No offense, Masvidal. I'm just like because Carl Usman is the better fighter, the more well-rounded fighter, in my opinion. He's the
Mm.
smarter fighter. Because if you look at Masvidal's fight against Nate Diaz, he did get hit a lot. You know, Carl
Mm.
Usman does have that power to knock someone down, and he has knocked people out before.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think that Masvidal isn't like his style is not. He's a street fighter, okay? Like that's what he is. There's no like he's pretty much known to be a
Mm.
street fighter, but he's developed a lot of skills training at American Top Team, with Coach Mike Brown. So I think that Gilbert Burns would do very well against Masvidal, like takedown wise. Like if he's on the ground, Gilbert Burns is gonna submit him. Like it's just gonna happen. Masvidal does
Really?
have like takedown defense, but it's I don't think like Burns is on a freaking roll. He's like the new kind of Damian Maya of like this UFC
Mm.
generation. So you take two guys that like somehow started to resurrect and like started to become like the fighter that they should be or they
Yeah.
want to be or whatever the best potential that they have. But I think Gilbert Burns is like gonna prove
Mm.
himself. But I think it'd be a fun fight between the both of them. I
Yeah.
think that Burns. It would be hard. I think it'd be hard for him to beat Usman as like compared to Masvidal. I'll say that for sure.
Mm.
I would if I was Usman, I would never try to like go on the ground with Gilbert Burns. Like he is quite like Damian
Yeah.
Maya to me.
Mm.
What do
Well,
you think? Like, yeah,
personally, I think that Usman is a easier stylistic matchup for Gilbert, to be honest. I think
yeah,
just because like he's a wrestler, and that's like he gives him a really good chance of being submitted. But I think that when it comes to just straight jujitsu, I think that Masvidal's jujitsu is better than Usman's. Not the wrestling, but when it comes to just straight jujitsu, I'd say
right,
that. And like when you look at his previous fights against Damian Maya, um, like Masvidal, like he was pretty much dominated in that fight, but he was never like submitted. He was able to defend every single attack that Damian Maya had. And when you
right,
look at Usman's fight, like he was like terrified of going to the ground with Maya. So I think that just is an example of like the different levels of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And so I'd still say that Gilbert Burns beats both of them the same way.
right. Submission? What
Well,
you say?
maybe not the same way. I think he submits Usman, but I think he probably beats Masvidal by decision because if it stays striking, I still see Masvidal beating Gilbert.
Right, right.
So, but all I know is that if so like right now the top four is kind of Colby, Masvidal, Usman, and Burns. It's not really Woodley anymore, I guess, because he
No.
kind of got beat by two of them. So it's
Yep.
really like between those four fighters. But all I know for sure is that if GSP were to come back right now, he'd beat all four. He'd beat all four.
We're huge UFC fans, by the way. Rep Canada always. So, that's a really good question because basically, I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna tell people who I think is gonna win. We're gonna wait till Saturday for that for the Unwrap This stream by Island Edition, July 11th. Probably, I think it's gonna be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So please look out for that. It's gonna be on our platform pages, and I'll link everybody like that after if they wanna participate because it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I also think, well, I kind of talked about Usman a little bit in terms of how I think he's going to win this fight. If he were to win this fight, I think
Mhm.
that because he's already the more well-rounded fighter, when he's fought the last two opponents, he's dominated them in his own way. And
Yeah.
Masvidal he did dominate Nate Diaz, but there were moments where he got hit as well, and he kind of invited that. Right, and then like Nate Diaz is not the easiest person to knock out or take down, but he did at the same time. He didn't like go in for the kill, just like how Usman did. Like he totally, like for me, dominated against Kobe. He obviously dominated against Woodley. Like totally, the biggest surprise of my life
Yeah,
was that fight, right? So I
me
think that
too.
yeah. Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, I said me
Oh,
too.
okay. But I think that Usman is going to win by dominating because he's good at use his wrestling, and I think people underestimate that he's just a wrestler. I'm like, no, he can stand with someone like Kobe, right? So a lot of people with Kobe Covington, unfortunately, even though I disagree with personal things with him, however, he is a really great striker, and so I don't underestimate Usman at all. And after that Woodley fight, I was like, okay, this man is the real deal. Like I think he's gonna stick around for quite a while. But he has his biggest challenge in a resurrected Cuban Jesus himself, Mr. Jorge Masvidal. So I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you like or anybody here. I think you probably know who I think is gonna win. But I will save that for Saturday, like I said. So I also wanted to talk about. This is a really it's not a random topic, but it's kind of related to how UFC 251, this pay per view first fight for Fight Island, Yas Island, by the way, if you guys don't know where it is, Abu Dhabi, how they promoted this so far has
Mm,
been lackluster in terms of not kind of paying, not respect, but kind of showcasing the champion himself, which is Kamaru Usman.
yeah.
Now, now, I think we all understand if we're hardcore fans, or even like casual fans, why understand like why that Jorge Masvidal is the person getting pretty much 99% of the spotlight right now. I know you probably have the same opinion that I do. So why do you think, it's an obvious question to me and you, but like, why do you think that Jorge Masvidal is the one getting a lot of the camera in the space, and why not the champion who has beat like former welterweight champions before?
Mm.
Why isn't he getting any attention from the UFC media?
Because Masvidal is a bigger star than Usman and Burns pretty much combined, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like it's a last minute replacement, so they're trying to like how get him out there to everyone for everyone to see because people are more inclined, like the casuals are more inclined to buy the pay-per-view if they see Masvidal on it. So they're just trying to just pump out a whole bunch of Masvidal media so that it gets as much attention as possible.
Right, and I agree. It's like it's really obvious that a lot of people know Masvidal for different reasons, not just
Hmm.
inside the octagon, but he also has his own business, his own shirts, his own mezcal, tequila that's pretty much going like nationwide. And so a
And
lot of
because
people
he's the
don't think
BMF.
exactly that too. That was one of those fights that you had like two stars. One of them was rising. I believe Corey Masvidal at that time was just like he was getting there to where he is now. And then like you had Nate Diaz, who is quite the crowd favorite for a lot of casuals, for a lot of diehards that see him once every 3 years to fight. So that I think after that fight when he won the BMF title, that really cemented that he is like a star in the
Yeah.
UFC, right? So, and the storyline is beautiful. Like, if anybody has ever watched the trailer, I remember like watching it. I sent it to you, and we're just like, oh, okay, fine. We're getting a little bit more excited, just a little bit more excited. This is a really dope trailer, even though I was trying to be like realistic about everything. So, in that trailer, pretty much, Masvidal. If anyone does not know how old he is 35 years old. Usman is 32 years old. Masvidal has been there for about 17 years now in the fight game. Quite the veteran. 48 fights in total, I believe, according to the stats. Because they're pretty much pumping that out. Like 16 years later, okay, now he wants everything that he never really worked for before. Because a lot of his wins or losses, he was like 50-50 kind of fighter. You just never knew, what he was
Hmm.
going to do. And if he was going to do something, it wasn't going to be as dominant as how he is now, right? Like kneeing someone in the head in the first 5 minutes. So I think that, like for me, because I try to be fair, and obviously I like both fighters for different reasons. Masvidal, entertaining, dope, really down to earth kind of guy, super funny as
Hmm.
well, and like really rising up there and like super entertaining. Like if the way he knocks people out, it's just kind of like everybody will remember that for the rest of whatever their life watching MMA. So, but at the same time, Usman, I think people they why wouldn't they promote that he won against Taiwan Woodley in like the fashion that he did? That was no offense to Masvidal, okay, but if there's a skill level and people underestimating him, like nobody underestimated him. Like after that, they shouldn't have at least. Yeah, especially after he won
Mhm.
against Kobe Covington as well.
Yeah,
So I think that the UFC could have promoted that a little bit further, you know.
definitely. Mm.
And the fact that their beef, like they could have had more of that in the promo. They had a little bit. If you watch the trailer, it's
Yeah,
on Dana White's page.
but then again, they made it like the same day that it got announced, so it was kind of rushed. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because obviously they're trying to promote the fact that they have someone that's trying to
yeah,
save the day in 6 days.
yeah, their
Fight.
fight wasn't even included in the countdown.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
the
Oh,
main
yeah.
event.
Good
Yeah,
point.
they
All
didn't
right.
include the main event. They just showed Alex and Volkanovski. I mean, Alex and Max, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and Rose's fight. Yeah, they didn't show the main event 'cause I guess they didn't have time to make to make it.
Yeah. No. Shout out to the promotions video editing guy, graphics person. Shout out to you because that was a dope trailer that got
Mhm.
released literally hours after. And like you said that their UFC is trying to like promote this last minute save the day, who's the
Mhm.
hero kind of thing, and then you like get two of them that hate each other for that belt. So they promoted that even like before anything was announced, confirmed, like because everyone pretty much assumed that you got a substitute
Mhm.
right there. But UFC will pretty much do anything to promote something. Obviously make some money from it. Got views. Your number one promotion. You're number one in sports right now. No freaking like sports really happening. So I think that at the end of the day, I wish that Usman got more credibility, especially in the media. But a lot of people argue that he's quite boring. I actually don't think he's that boring. I think he's just quite cringeworthy. Like the way he kind of smacks up doesn't hit people like the right way
Yeah.
sometimes. You know what I mean? It just makes
And
people kind of like question if that was actually supposed to be an insult. But Masvidal is more down to earth, I would say. He's more personable, has the charm. So I'm not surprised that they're kind of just pushing a lot of Masvidal media out there, right? So
Mhm.
now I like because I even like I know I pretty much have chosen who I think is going to win this fight. However, I was a little bit against in terms of like Masvidal before when he was trying to ask for everything. The negotiations part on the phone was to me the most annoying part. It's like, come on, if you want to fight, if you want to get the title, you just do it. You don't just
Yeah.
ask. Like, what I mean? You're going to get more famous. You're definitely going to get more money. Like, it's just kind of like a logical. I don't know. That's just me though,
Uh,
right? So maybe that's just me saying that it's quite logical. If you're gonna fight for the title, you're gonna get more money. If you want to fight, if you want to get the title, you're gonna go say yes. There's
yeah.
no negotiations. It's not like he was
Yeah.
concerned about COVID. It wasn't like that at all,
Mm.
right?
I
So
saw a Gilbert Burns interview earlier today, and he was saying that like if Masvidal wins, like the division is gonna be kind of ruined, which is kind of true because like he's been saying that he wants to fight Nate Diaz after, and he's probably gonna try to fight Connor rather than fighting Gilbert, who's like the number one contender. So
mhm.
that's pretty interesting. Yeah, he's probably gonna because he's been asking for more money for a while, so he's gonna have way more leverage now as the champion. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
mean
a pain to deal with.
he's like a big baby. Like right now, he just wants everything that he can't have right now in a sense. Well, fairly.
Mm.
Say fairly. So I agree. Gilbert Burns is right. Obviously, we're both really big Gilbert Burns fans. Wish you
Mm.
were fighting. Because I was like preparing for like doing streams like about Gilbert Burns. I know both of us were preparing for that, so it was quite devastating. And it's like, oh, so we're not talking about this. We're gonna put everything that we plan aside, and then we're gonna have to start from scratch, right? But we're not because it's Masvidal. Everybody pretty much knows Masvidal. That is a huge UFC like hardcore fan. If you've been following for the last 2 years, that's why I personally, if I were to say who I want to win, it's not going to be Masvidal for the fact that like what Gilbert says, the whole division is going to
Mm.
be just like how Conor McGregor was back in there, and like he won that belt, then he won another belt, then he didn't defend it, then he goes to box with someone. I can see Masvidal going in that route, personally. You know, I understand like he's still the most like one of the most down to earth fighters.
Mm-hmm.
However, like the way he's acting, it's very kind of Conor McGregor s. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't think that Masvidal is quite there yet. He's a star. Nobody's saying he's not a star, but like he has to
Mm.
earn that Conor
Right.
had the it factor. Masvidal had the it factor after 16 years. Like so, like that's just for me, it was kind of just like
Mm.
yeah, no, Conor has something. That's why he was the more successful fighter. That's why he got more opportunities, whether they were fair or not. People wanted to see Conor. Like now, people want to see Masvidal, but it took him that long to realize this is what I have to do to get noticed. And
Hmm.
I didn't think he cared about getting noticed before. If you go and watch his like fights and like how he talked about fighting and all that, like he didn't really care about being champion until 2 years ago, right?
Mm.
So that's the reason why I just don't practically wise with division. I wanted to stay like running. There's a couple of contenders still like in the top 10, even though they're not like people that many people would keep an eye on. However, they're still contenders nonetheless. You got Leon Edwards. You still have Tyron Woodley in there as well at
I
number
forgot
four.
about Leon.
I know, I know you don't really like Leon Edwards, but you remember it was supposed to be Woodley against Leon Edwards.
Right, right. I forgot.
I was hoping for that match for a while now, but things happen with COVID. All right, so
Mm.
okay, so one of the last few points I wanted to talk about was, I wanted to talk about the last three fights of that main card are freaking stacked. If you've seen our other streams, you'll see me talking about them a lot. They're all championship fights. All of them. All of them are gonna be 5 rounds. You're gonna have like 25 times three, fights, and that's gonna make Eastern people stay up till like 2 a.m. in the morning watching this. But
Mm.
I will tell people if they don't know and they really want something to do on Saturday, you do not want to miss this main card. I urge you now, especially that we have like such a great main event, please order it. UFC 251. Also, if you want a good deal on ESPN, Unwrapped Sports has that deal for you. We have like different packages that we can hook you up with. So if anyone wants, that hookup for UFC 251, please holler at me after this stream. Okay? So, who which fights or which fighters are you most like looking forward to? So obviously, if anyone does not know, we're talking about the last three fights that are championship fights. The first one, I believe, is number three. I believe it's Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski for that featherweight title rematch part dos. Okay,
Hmm.
so that is the third last fight, and I believe the second last fight is Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo for the Bacon Bantamweight title. Okay, and then the last one, obviously, like we were talking about, is the welterweight belt, Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. So out of those three fights, he ranked them from like your third like most looking forward to the match, and then second, and then the first. Like do a little countdown for me.
So my first is it's still the main event,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and my second is the co-main event, which is the bantamweight title fight, and then my third is Max and Volkanovski.
Okay, so why I don't think bantamweight is your favorite division, right? And
Mm.
when and if you are to fight, you will be fighting in that division as well. So why not that fight? Even though I know like the stardom and all the craze right now is about the main event. So why did you choose Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman welterweight? Why did you choose welterweight over bantamweight in this situation?
Because I think that Jose Aldo, like as amazing as he is, I think it should have been against Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. I just, 'cause, I mean, Aldo's coming off for loss, so I don't see how that's justifiable. If it was like TJ versus Peter or something, like then that would excite me more. But right now, it's just I think the stylistic matchup between Masvidal and Usman just really excites me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that it's something that it's not one sided. Okay, let's just say like as I tried to like go back and forth with two fighters. I was like, both fighters could win this fight in their own terms. It just depends on what happens and who's gonna like
Mm.
land a lucky punch. If it's gonna be Masvidal, he's gonna land that lucky punch, which pretty much he did against Darren Till, which made it like really exciting.
I don't know if it was lucky.
I have to honestly like I just go by my memory, like going to that match and being there. So I don't think it was lucky, but he did make himself like vulnerable to get hurt, and he can get knocked down. He has gotten knocked down by Nate Diaz, as well as Darren Till. So
I
it's
don't
not like
think
it's
he got dropped by Nate
not
Masvidal.
dropped,
I don't
like
think
he got rocked. Let's just say that.
Mm,
And
oh,
one
okay,
time,
okay, I guess.
I
Yeah.
remember like watching the fight back, and then there's
Mhm.
one or two times where he like pretty much almost fell, and he had to like clinch to like save himself. All right,
Yeah.
so okay, so why Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski? Why is that not like in your top two instead of the third? Most looking
Um,
for fight.
it should be, but I think so. I really wanted Max to win. He was who I was gonna bet on, before I learned this information, which was like I listened to an interview with him and Ariel, and he said that he hasn't seen his coaches, he hasn't sparred with anybody, and that all of his training sessions have been over Zoom. And I was just like,
Okay,
wow, that's crazy. So I really don't know how he's gonna perform against Volkanovski, and I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do.
okay,
But
that's
that's the reason.
I didn't even know that. I was like, damn, that is
Yeah.
so okay. That is not orthodox. That is not
Mhm.
what Max Holloway and his little squad, his corner, they're really really tight. So
Yeah.
like they're family, they're Ohana at the end of the day. So I think that because of that, I understand your point. I didn't even know that. So okay, my most looked forward to fights are there's one part that's a little different, right? Because I know that bantamweight is your favorite division. However,
Mhm.
I don't give a shit about that match as much because of Jose Aldo. No offense, because I love Peter Yan and I think he's gonna win that fight. But so my most look forward to match is that main event. I think that the storyline is really awesome. Masvidal coming in to save the day, 6 days
Yeah.
notice. Fingers crossed he stays negative for COVID because I know that there's still more pre-testing to do before the fight.
Mhm.
And then it's just like you said, stylistically, they both hate each other. It's just like that perfect kind of fight that many people were looking forward to. You got Team Usman, you got Team Masvidal. I'm like in the middle, in the sense like maybe I'm leaning towards one fighter, but like I said, I'm not gonna say who it is for this stream at least. You guys have to look forward to Saturday, Unwrap This Fight Island Edition, and so because of that, everything that a perfect fight has, you got the belt. You got two guys that hate each other. You have two guys that are stylistically amazing in their own way, but then put that together, you just don't know what's going to happen. So it's just the
Yeah.
perfect kind of storm, right? For the perfect fight. And so the second most look forward to, like I said, we have a little difference in this because I know that bantamweight is your favorite division. However, I don't care about that match as well because Max Holloway, key to my heart in terms of anyone who reps the six. Everybody knows that Max Holloway loves Toronto as well. He pretty much won his interim belt there. He's defended it once or twice, I believe, in Toronto. So I think that I'm looking forward to that just because no offense, Alex Volkanovski, amazing fighter, great game plan, but I think that Max is going to take his belt back, hands down.
Really? Okay.
I think that, like, because even though, yeah, okay, Zoom call wise, that's really weird. That's not usually how
Yeah.
many fighters train, but Max is a smart fighter, and he's always been. He trusts his
Mhm.
intuition. His relationship with his corner is so good. They know each other so well, so I don't have any doubts that, this time around, he's going to be a little bit smarter. He's going to know, like, maybe to be a little bit more aggressive and not to wait for his chance like he did last time. And
Yeah.
so I'm just honestly like I was waiting for him to get that belt back. That's why I am looking forward to that. He's one of my favorite champions in the UFC, so I think he's gonna be champion again. And new hashtag and new. Okay, so obviously the third, which is the last one, which I said I didn't really care about. Like I care about a little bit. Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan. I care about half of that fight because that half is Peter Yan. Okay, Jose Aldo, of course, legend. Okay, legend in featherweight division. Also, people are saying maybe he is like the GOAT when it comes to being featherweight champion or featherweight fighter of all time. Do I agree? That's probably another discussion for another day. However, uh, he doesn't deserve that fight. I've said that like 1,000 times on both
Mhm.
streams and like to anybody that I've talked to about this. I've never
Yeah.
heard in my entire life, I've never heard of a fighter getting a championship fight after a loss, after one fight in that division. I've never heard of that. However, you look at, everybody knows Jose Aldo. He's the draw. Okay, Masvidal is the draw. Max Holloway is the draw in all of these fights. So, of course, because of that, they have more fans or they have more attention or they get more attention for the promotion. Because of
Yeah.
that, that's the reason why he's getting this matchup. And like I said, I agree with you. I've said it before. Aljo should be in this fight
Uh-huh.
right now because, hey, guys, you see his last fight? Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. I was like, that was a
Yeah, it
fast
was
submission.
crazy.
Yeah, go Aljo. So like instead of Aldo, I want Aljo to be in that fight. Okay, but I think that Peter Yan's gonna win, and then they're actually gonna have that fight. So it's okay. We'll just have to wait. Just have to
Okay.
wait for everything, right? So that was one of the last points I had. Like I said, anybody who wants to see my fight breakdown, and amongst my favorite sports fan in the whole world, Unwrap Sports, we have a new segment called Unwrap This, where your host, which is me, yours truly, is going to be talking about like how we're gonna break down mostly the main card probably, and we're gonna preview all of that right before the main card starts. So guys, it's gonna get you all pumped for this pay per view, and pretty much we're gonna convince you to buy it because this is just how amazing this card is. Okay. And like I said, if you want that bundle, if you want to know, oh man, I want to get this pay per view, I don't know how. Well, guess what? This network, we have the hookup for you. We have a partnership with ESPN and ESPN Plus, so please, holler at me or go to our unwrapsports.com, unwrap sports on the Twitter or our Instagram, and we will tell you how you can get this pay-per-view so you don't miss any of the action and any of the fights that are coming up. Because, let's go. I saw your sweater because I remember we were talking about this right before the stream
Hmm.
started, and so like you got the sweater and like they're like I believe there are palm trees on it. I mean, like you live in Cali, but this is not the
I
reason why.
was so excited to wear my Gilbert Burns
I
bandana
know,
today.
I know.
So excited. So
We
sad.
guys, we had a plan. Like we planned this literally weeks to a month in advance.
Yeah.
That's that's how much looking forward to we were like in this matchup. Now, a lot of people were saying that they find it more interesting that Masvidal is there. I know, like for you, we're a little bit biased in that,
Mm.
a lot of people because I guess not many people know who Gilbert Burns is, and then maybe they know him just a little bit after that match that happened. But I think that eventually it's going to be um, I'm not gonna say who, but somebody's gonna face Gilbert Burns afterwards, and that fight,
Okay.
he's gonna get his chance, okay, to fight for that title, because God knows he deserves it more than Aldo. Like at that time, if Aldo wins that fight, I'm
Oh
just
my
gonna be
God.
dumbfounded. I don't know
Me too.
because like here's the thing, Alex Volkanovski, if you win, kudos to you. You're a really great fighter. Okay, you beat Max Holloway once. You might be the only person to beat Max Holloway for the next couple of years. Now, if I don't even know why I'm like kind of bottled by this. If Jorge Masvidal or if Jose Aldo win that belt, I will be just kind of looking looking in the future and say like this is not going to go really well. That those two divisions are going to be turned upside down in a way because rankings apparently don't freaking matter, sometimes in the UFC. But we will find that out, and you will see probably my reactions after the fight. We might have a stream right after, maybe the next day, because it'll probably be 2 a.m. in the morning Eastern time for us in the East Coast. So we're gonna talk a little bit, Jonathan, probably after this. We always do every single night. Anyways, so we're probably gonna talk about if we're gonna do a stream right after, maybe the next day after
Okay.
this pay per view. Like I said, peoples, if you see my story, okay, it's going to be talking about this, unwrap this. So please look forward to that, and it's gonna be easy to click on the link. I'm gonna be talking with 3 to 4 other people from my network, and we're all crazy UFC fans. And let me tell you, they're not gonna always agree with me. So this is gonna be interesting, like to talk about. And I'm pretty strong-willed in my opinions, and you know that. We talked about these fights beforehand. And so, if you want to find out who I think is going to win in the main event, you have to tune in on Saturday, right before the fights. Well, the main card. And, please go get it. ESPN, I have the bundle for you. Okay, so if anyone needs to hook up, like I said, please holler at me or go to unwrapsports.com. So, I want to thank you, obviously, Jonathan. This is not the first time you've been on my stream. It's maybe third, fourth time.
Fourth. Fourth.
Okay, we're at number 4. Okay, we're at number 4. So always a pleasure to have you on. And just
I
because I
know.
know that we both always just bring up UFC news and the new matches and stuff like that for different cards. For everybody that joined, probably except that one person, thank you for joining. Okay, don't even know who that person is, but we will not let that down. Things happen. It's true. So I'm not gonna let that bother me. I'm gonna be more excited about these fights coming up. I'm getting more excited, but at the same time, something in my heart says like, not yet. Don't get excited too yet, because anything could happen. So, and if anyone wants to see anything on Saturday, something more exciting, please again check out UFC 251, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. The prelims, I believe, are starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and the main card is going to be starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And yes, we're going on these regular time zones, so Yas Island is going to be lit up, like, at nighttime, pretty much, when everybody else is sleeping. All right, so obviously, like I said, Jonathan, I want to talk to you in a little bit. Everybody, thank you for joining for the most part. Okay, thank you for your support, and please tune in Saturday, and I'll have more information about Unwrap This Fight Island Edition. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and we'll figure out who I think is gonna win in that main event. So in the meantime, we're just gonna have fun saying that it's fight week. Everybody look forward to everything. The countdown embedded, everything is on for UFC. It's going to be pretty much one of the biggest pay-per-views. Knock on wood. Like, where's the wood? Okay, there you go. Knock on wood that everything's gonna stay intact. Bubble wrap all the fighters. Nobody go anywhere. Please stay safe. That's all I care about. So we're gonna go for now, and then we'll be back probably after the fights, probably the day after. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining, and look forward to Saturday, and I'll look forward to you guys on the next stream and for Unwrap This. So right now, I'll say goodbye to you, but we'll talk a little bit later. Okay. All right. Thank you everyone. Jaden, Russell, Dorsa, April, what's called South Broadway, Care Tank, Perry, Alex from my crew, Unwrap Sports. Thank you so much, and we will see you guys a little bit in a couple days, 6 days until Fight Island UFC 251. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream right now. I'm just gonna keep talking about it and get more excited. Alright, talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a good night. Yay, Fight Island. 6 days away.